Welcome to our second episode on this, what I call the ministry of rebuking. Jesus' work of rebuking. And we saw in the first episode that Jesus handled 3 situations with the same word, the same action: rebuke, rebuke, rebuke. And that word rebuke, what does it mean? Before we even go further, the word means to speak sharply, to oppose vehemently with your words, and to stand against, and to demand, not humbly, but forcefully and arrogantly. That means that when you are rebuking something, you don't speak nicely, you demand, you enforce, you ask for a change by force. So Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, rebuked the sickness, and rebuked the wind and the storm that's causing the raging of the waves against the boat of disciples on the sea. Are we followers of Jesus? Today Christians just pray. Jesus prayed too in the night. He spent time praying. He spent sometimes all night long in prayer. But in the face of this event, Jesus didn't pray. I believe that Jesus knew that these were not the works of God, that he had to plead with God to do something about it. These were not God's intentions. These were not from God. And Jesus did not excuse himself and excuse God and said, okay, we don't know what's going on here. Jesus took a strong stance against the unclean spirit while he was teaching, against the high fever in the body of the mother-in-law of Peter. And he took a stand. He woke out of sleep and just didn't even pray to God. He spoke sternly to the wind and the waves and stopped it. I believe that this is something we have not explored as Christians, as believers, as followers of Jesus. If you notice, those disciples were shocked. They were in awe by what he did. But he asked them, where is your faith? So I believe that the faith should be revealed and manifested in rebuking. They were just crying out, we are perishing, we are in danger. And those words didn't effect any change. They told Jesus about the woman. Telling Jesus didn't effect any change. Jesus rebuked it. To rebuke means to speak sharply to and to demand. So Jesus demanded unclean spirit to come out of a man. He demanded the fever to leave the body of the old woman. And he demanded and rebuked the wind and the storm to cease and to stop their raging. I believe that authority as the follower of Christ, if you're going to do the work that Jesus did, we must also enter this work of rebuking, of challenging and speaking harshly to situations, and not just be nice to them. Jesus was not nice to the sickness. Today when people get sick and feel sick, we talk nicely, we wonder what's really going on. Jesus spoke harshly and sternly to sickness. I want to challenge you to start thinking about this, to start rebuking, to start speaking against sickness in your body, in the body of your loved ones. Not just to, perambulate around things. And I couldn't imagine Jesus just hanging around in the boat and wandering and waiting and watching and expecting the things to die naturally. But Jesus rebuked it. He spoke sharply to it. He was stern about it. He took a stance of a soldier in aggression against these circumstances we just noticed. Unclean spirits are satanic agents. Christ didn't pray about it. He spoke to the spirit. He demanded it to take a leave of the man. And that spirit left. Jesus spoke to the fever, to the sickness, this high fever. He spoke sternly to it, and he left. Also, to the wind and storms. I want to challenge you to look at your life situations and circumstances and look at sickness and evil spirits. Whatever their manifestation, I think we should start rebuking like Jesus. Let's follow our master. He was not lying down. He was not pleading with God to remove it. He spoke sternly. He rebuked it. He spoke to it. He demanded for a change. I don't think he was nice about talking to the sickness, not to circumstances, not to evil spirit. The sheer thought of Jesus, confronting it, we don't think like that. We think of going to God and God help us intervene. But Jesus directly faced it and spoke to it. No wonder Jesus said, whosoever shall say to this mountain, be removed and be cast to the sea, shall not doubt in his heart, but prayer what he says will come to pass. He shall have whatsoever he says. It's time to start speaking and rebuking. Not just really speaking, but rebuking situations like sickness, like disease, like evil spirits in their manifestation. When we have evil power at work, let's not just plead with God. Let's rebuke it. When we find sickness in our bodies, in the body of our loved ones, let's do like Jesus did. Let's speak to it sternly and demand it to leave. And when we face some adverse life circumstances and situations, instead of just kind of pontificating and philosophizing about it, let's rebuke it. I feel like saying this. It's time you enter the ministry of rebuke, or ministry of rebuking, and rebuke things and stop things in our lives. If you do so, we'll see what Jesus saw. He rebuked and he saw changes. We will rebuke and see changes. After all, he said, what he did, we can do. Let's get into business and do it. God bless you.